Hi everybody and welcome back. You are watching week 7 of the Quake Pro League. My name is Ketchup. I'm joined by Lethal. And as always on this show, it is time for, with the featured matchups, to bring in the one and only DJ Wheat, because we have a lot to talk about with these two final matches. The first of which is going to be Strongsage versus ZenAku. Wheat, how's it going, man? Good to see you again.
It's going pretty good. I wish I could actually say that the every week at the end is that I do show up, but I was not here last week. I was on vacation, so thanks for filling in those who did. But I'm excited to be back. Some very interesting featured matchups here, starting of course with ZenAku versus Strongsage. And you know, you're talking about the bingo card earlier, Ketchup, and there's a part of me that thinks that Strongsage has his own little bingo card going, right? You're talking about someone who is sitting on the bottom rung of, you know, number 16, I think mostly due to the matches he's played, 1 and 2, yep, but has taken a map from Avic and has taken a map from Kilson, right? You're talking about a new player coming into Quake Champions, finding the game, being like, hey, this game's pretty sick, like I like it, and then beating individuals who are kind of considered legends in this game. Like, you know, I'm not saying that's a victory for Strongsage here, but what I am saying is that it is so exciting to have a player like Strongsage here in the QPL, and not just, you know, dropping 3 zeros. Like, this is kind of interesting what we've got going on here, and I love it.
It's a player that is hot on the grind. I think every time I see Strongsage on social media, he's playing in some kind of tournament. And that's the hallmarks of a hungry for success player.
Yeah,
Look, if there's tournaments to be had and you're able to enter it and you want to get better, Strongsage is jumping in and playing in what feels like as much as possible. But in doing so, you're in some of these tournaments able to play against players that are in Pro League because they're also entering them. You know what I mean? It's not like you're not allowed to play in anything. You can play in stuff if you want, which might sometimes mean encountering someone early. And if you're able to either defeat them or at the very least take it to them, that spells wonderful things when you're playing for like the absolute big leagues of Quake Champions, which is why Strongsage is such a interesting player, because he hasn't played many matches, but I feel like I've seen him play tons of people. So there's a lot more opportunities there lying in wait. But Lethal, I mean, his opponent, ZenAku, this is a player that has a lot going on for him.
Yeah, he certainly does. Yeah, with ZenAku, he wants to try and win the whole thing this time. And I remember speaking to him a little bit before the Pro League even began. He was saying that he's trying to think of every way he can to not improve his skill in the game, but outside the game as well, in terms of his mentality to how to approach, you know, a lot of these players and how to approach going into QuakeCon to try and secure his victory, because his standard player Quake is extremely good, extremely strong, and he's trying to be as creative as possible in order to put on a huge performance. And he's already put on a good performance so far. As you can see, he's had a lot of close victories. They've been, of course, victories nonetheless. I think, as most people were going to recognise from last week's matchup, but the notable one actually being able to defeat Rafa 2-1. It's definitely been his nemesis. Rafa's always had his phone number, but, you know, going back to Strongsage, it's an extremely strong opponent that he can't overlook at all in the slightest. So watching Strongsage perform over the last 2 years, I remember like 18 months ago, 2 years ago, it was every time I watched Rafa stream, he was playing against Strongsage every single day or every single time without fail. Like, he was really looking to rapidly improve, and he has done exactly just that. And then when you make it to the Quake Pro League, you feel quite relieved and you're like, you know, trying to ease yourself into it. He's actually trying guns to win the entire thing. He's definitely got championship-esque kind of capabilities. You can see glimpses of it here and there where he has the potential to be the champion in the future. Right now, it's probably a little bit early as of yet. It's still very early on in the season as well. But the fact that he's putting a really good fight up against Kilson, Ave, you can see he's very hungry to win very early on, which is quite a shock really, where some players are looking to try and ease into the competition, let alone try and win so early on at such a young age.
Now, if I have this lobby correct, I would like to look at the picks and bans, because we have some stuff to talk about.
I think it's correct.
First map, Awoken. Oh. The clutch made it in. And that just looks like, you know, just nature of who was able to pick and ban, you know. So the Anarchy was removed and then the clutch was picked. Corrupted Keep afterwards with the Scale Bearer removed. Very personal ban. I think that one for Strongsage. Strongsage is known, I think, at this point for having a pretty scary selection of these heavy champions. And then Molten Falls as that final destination. Take the Slash away, and then we'll have Ranger and then the Visor. Now, I'm not just saying this because I love watching Clutch, but the last time I saw Strongsage with Clutch on this map, we kind of instantly saw something that a lot of us hadn't seen basically prior. If memory serves, the first match I ever saw of Strongsage's Clutch on Awoken, he started with regular nail gun, which I couldn't remember the last time I ever saw someone start with a nail gun. And I'm like, has this guy got some has he got some cheeky tech? You know, has this guy got some weird jumps that he just gets access to whenever he wants? And he was doing it immediately. To the point where I was just happy to see that someone was still looking into bits and bobs that others hadn't really been doing,
Yeah, I mean, I think Strongsage does have cheeky tech, right? And let me break this down what I think it is. It is coming into this not having 4 years of expected meta and playing against that meta, right? And if that's cheeky tech, then great, that's cheeky tech. But that's one of the reasons why I think I kind of like Strongsage, because he's just creating his own meta based off of what works for him in the game versus like, well, no one plays this, or only Razy plays Clutch. Like, and you gotta kind of admire that a little bit.
Yeah, it's what I was going to add as well is that Strongsage has got an extremely deep, varied map pool. Like, some people won't even use Clutch. I mentioned it back in the first or second series of the day, but because there's only 3 players using Clutch at the moment, not regularly, but they can bring it up as they see fit, because Strongsage, Razy, and Sib. But also you've seen him bring out Clutch randomly on Deep Embrace, and also bring out the scale on Awoken as well randomly. Like, you really don't know what to expect, and this early on you still find it quite difficult to really believe if certain bans is actually right for you, or if it's going to be, more favour of him, because you don't know what he's going to select sometimes. But going to the matchup now, I think a Clutch pit's going to be very good for Strongsage going into this, but the Nyx can at least get himself out of a bad hole if the shield is initiated. Corrupt to keep, we've seen Strog pretty much all day on Corrupt to keep, apart from this time he's actually selected a BJ instead of the Ranger. It's been the Ranger Strog matchup for like the last 2 or 3 times so far today, so nice to see something a little bit different.
It's been quite common.
Yeah, it has been, and I think the Slash ban, perfectly understandable, not really too much with mobility as of yet. Athena was, of course, available for Molten Falls, but yeah, a Visor Ranger matchup would be quite interesting in itself if it does get all tied up. But yeah, Strongsage has been an absolute crazy madman so far this season, and we've only seen him compete in 3 matches so far.
Yep.
Well, it looks like both of our players in the lobby are officially readying up and stuff like that. So I shall let the chat talk about their predictions with each other. I shall let the 2 of you take this away, maybe chat about your predictions of your own, who knows. But either way, see you in a bit.
Awesome.
Bye, folks.
Oh, cheers, mate.
See you in a bit.
You seem proper pumped today, Week, compared to usual. I can see you're feeling it.
Quake lethal, and then you're just kind of like, oh man, I need my fix, right? So watching this morning, when I was on vacation, I didn't even have the internet to be able to watch. So that usually, helps out a little bit. But yeah, so I am pretty pumped, and we've got a couple of good games here, right, in front of us, and all the games that we've seen so far today, there's been some interesting outcomes. But yeah, we're going live with this one. Chat right now, I didn't even see a prediction come up. I don't know who we blame for that, but Ketchup. All right, Ketchup was making a sandwich, so there's no prediction. I think based off of what I've seen from chat analysis is that Zen is definitely, favored here, but people want to see a good game here with Strongsage. I would just want the same thing, right? Yeah. I do think that Zen is likely the outcome here, especially kind of given the champ picks in map 2-3, but would love to be always proven wrong and or just see a great battle.
Yeah, I always want to be wrong in these predictions, and we have been quite a few times over the course of this season so far. But yeah, it could be interesting to start with Clutch versus Nyx to start things in this series. Second to last match of the evening. We know that Wheat's been having his withdrawals and shakes of missing out a week, but he's back now. He's ready. We're going to be starting off from Zen's perspective to see how he's going to crack on here. Very early engagement. Good rail coming out from Strongsage, and already a stack advantage here for him. Again, another rail. Looking for another, and he's coming in with the shield to initiate. But as I mentioned before, that Ghost Walk is going to help him dearly.
Yeah, I'm kind of down with that too. Just ignore it. Okay, he burned the Ghost Walk. Go through it, you know, from Strongsage perspective. So Zen, I think, made the right decision there. Just be careful, and they're gonna fight over the heavy. Good LG coming out, but those rails keep coming out from Strongsage. He's hit them pretty consistently here, and that has kind of allowed him to you know, have the upper hand most of the time. We're not even a minute into this game. And already, though, we're seeing a nice little battle. Another rail coming out right now. That's going to be 80% for Strongsage right now out of 5 shots.
Oh, an 82 from that last rocket as well from Zen. Gaining top mid control once again and just waiting to see what he can find here. Looking around to see if he's around rail, which he actually is. Just needs to be a little bit cautious going through that choke point. But remember, though, Strongsage does have that shield, so if he wants to use that to initiate to maybe bag that Mega for extra insurance later, we'll have to see. But of course, that Mega's not going to be up for a while. Heavy's up in 10. Zen's in position, but again, Strongsage looks to push on in, uses that shield. He's actually going to go back towards the Mega, as Zen will have time to try and contest it. Of course, Clutch is a beefy boy, but does get that first initial rail again. So Mega is up. He will be able to grab that. And still has this opening here. He's got 30 seconds, making that 20 now to pick up those hourglasses to try and get some decent damage done. But the direct comes out here. LG to boot. That's going to be first frag going towards Zen.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, like, that was kind of interesting because Zen actually had a couple of really great rail opportunities. He didn't have a rail, though, right? So getting that frag and being in the rail room puts him in a lot better spot, even with that first frag. He's not going to convert off that, but going to get right in the face of his opponent. Shield does come out. It's not going to do a whole lot. Now Zen answering back with some rails of his own. Now, I would argue that between that direct rocket and then the follow-up LG, Zen could just absolutely pin Strongsage. I don't think that Strongsage should have taken that fight, period. But 2.5 minutes in, still a lot of time here, and you can just see how much respect there is between these two folks. Like, ZenAku's still handling the clutch quite well, I think. Like, trying to pull that shield out, using Ghost Walk when it is appropriate. It's going to be another opportunity where LG comes out, Ghost Walk, but it just allows him to stay alive a little bit longer and hold on to that lead.
Yeah, that's a good thing about the Ghost Walk as well. He, like, the problem is Strongsage is never going to be able to efficiently use that shield, is he? And he can just, but if he baits out early, but he's already got the distance, then that's fine. That's a free Ghost Walk he can use aggressively here. So it's going to be a very complex matchup here. He's coming in with the shield. He's still got the Ghost Walk. The Ghost Walk's actually not for another 20 seconds. And Strongsage with that drive-by rail. And he could pin him down again here, as he's managed to pick up the Mega. And he could just slide on through if he can, if he makes the prediction right. But sadly, he didn't. But will be greeted by him. But good LG coming out from Zen as he does back him off. But dearie me, that could have gone either side over that last little 15 seconds with Zen bagging his second frag.
I'm maybe just getting a little bit too excited about that frag to tie it up, but it is what it is. I thought for certain Zen landed that rail on the stairs, but it was actually the opposite. So once again, I think no, he didn't try to. So real interesting, nice frag there by ZenAku. He's now up 2 frags, 3-1. 6 minutes, still a lot, but I love the pace at which this game is unfolding.
Yeah, no complaints so far. Heavy's up and have been picked up by Strongsage. Zen has missed that first rail, but got a nice amount of damage onto that last rocket. Coming in with the LG. He's going to fight it even with the shield at this point. 47 HP, but it's going to be picking up the Mega. Oh, he just picks up the light before Zen does. He has the advantage in terms of stack, but he hasn't got the weapons in his arsenal, sadly. But it's seeing if he can rely anything on those rockets, which he does not, but does pick up the... Well, trying to pick up the heavy nonetheless, but it's not going to happen. Zen making his 5-1.
Yeah, this is where I think we're seeing the veteran status of ZenAku really kind of come out and show itself. You know, Strongsage, watching him still makes me excited, but you can see that he's, you know, not veteran status when you stack them up against the other legends that we've got here in the QPL. And that's okay, because we see someone here, you know, it's small things. It's things that you're going to learn over time playing this game for years, map over and over and over and over again. And already you see some of these really phenomenal moments coming out here by Strongsage. And then ZenAku is like, yeah, but let me show you what putting 4 years of practice and dedication to this game can do. So it leads me to believe that Strongsage can get there, but ZenAku really kind of showing how he can control the situation, play against a player that might be a little bit unpredictable, and look really calm and solid when doing so. You know, right now, 4-frag lead. That's going to get more and more intense as that clock sticks away. But more importantly, like, the aim and the decision-making here by ZenAku is phenomenal.
Yeah, Zen hasn't even fired that many rails either, and hasn't really needed to either, as knows the clutch is directly underneath, using that shield to guarantee his mega, but also doing a huge amount of damage in the process here. And Zen is well and truly gone. And this is the problem Zen is, sorry, not Zen, that Strongsage is going to have here, but it finds him again with that rail. Ghostwalker's already been popped, so needs to try and stay alive for these next 30 seconds or recover if he can, but sadly for Strongsage, he's not chosen the correct path and wants to just do something with this stack here. Look at the difference in between the two. But still done a huge amount of LG damage and still managed to be able to get away. Unbelievable.
And look at how well Zen, or you know, how much damage Zen did when his opponent did have that huge stack. Now here's another opportunity here, but ZenAku once again, just great navigation across the map, just doing what he needs to do. Look, his movement's looking really good. Unfortunate rail miss right there, but lands the one on the exit and teleporter. He's gonna have to ghost walk in order to get out of jail free, and will stay alive. Yep, here comes Strongsage around the corner, but not enough to get a frag. There's another rail, and those rails early on made it look like Strongsage was going to be able to take a lead, but you know, it's just great play by ZenAku. There we go. He brought it back. He needed that one, but he fought hard and gave up a lot to get it.
He certainly did, and he knows that the Ghost Walk isn't available, so this is a good time to try and use that shield. Incredible rail there coming out from Strongsage. 2.5 minutes left. And you've got to remember is, even though Clutch is an extremely big opponent, he's got a lot of mobility, and this is what he's got to be cautious with. Yes, sure, you have that Ghost Walk, but then if he finds you again straight afterwards, considering it on a map like Awoken, it's going to be extremely tough.
That is very true. And, you know, when you've got Clutch, you've kind of got a little bit of beef to throw around. Oh, we're going to have Ghost Walk to just turn tail and turn around. Oh my God, through the telly. He thought he was going to be okay, but he takes one step back, and suddenly we've got ourselves a game. Strongsage has put a few frags together here, Lethal. It suddenly is a 1-point game, and all eyes are on him right now.
Yeah, this has been unreal. 90 seconds left as Strongsage made an incredible feat bringing this back. Heavy's up in 7. Zen does have the better position, but it needs to be cautious in case Strongsage does decide to prioritize the frag instead. But he's literally just giving it to him here. He may have 2 Ghost Walks available. That's going to be 1. And that's going to be a free mega for him. But now this is the window for Strongsage to try and seal this 5th frag, which goes to sudden death. I can't really see it not going to sudden death if Strongsage gets his frag, but in the end, though, Zen may be able to stay alive, but he finds it. He's been greeted by him, but Zen takes him down, increases his lead to 6. As now Strongsage is have to play that over-aggressive attitude now, and it looks like you can see already Zen's more than prepared for it, and he's going to have that Ghost Walk available in a minute as well.
I thought that was well played by Zen. You know, he didn't panic and just go into run mode. He looked at spots where he could watch angles. He hit 2 rails, I think. There's another 2 rails going into the Ghost Walk, and it's play like that that is really going to secure the frags that you need to take the victory. I think Strongsage at the end there just walked in the wrong time. ZenAku was waiting for him, and with 15 seconds left to go, looks like he will pull this out. But again, you look at this performance, and you got to be pretty impressed with both players, right? ZenAku, because he kept his cool, he played it the way he needed to, used his Ghost Walk in just kind of impeccable ways. And Strongsage gave us a show, right? So hopefully that's what everyone wanted here. But 6-3, and that is going to be a Zen win. Now the question, I think, for a lot of people is going to be like, okay, we've seen Strongsage do some damage with Clutch, right? How is this going to change now that Clutch is out of the way? And you know, how could Keep and Molten Falls go? You know, considering, right, that this is also 2 maps that ZenAku is really comfortable on, and I think has the better champion picks here, but that's of course debatable.
Yeah, it's quite close in terms of the champion picks as well. It might be a big if as well. If he maybe had a Ranger instead of a BJ, I'm not really too sure, but that's more style preference, really, isn't it? Of course, the orb can be a big factor against the Pika in a lot of ways, especially for the strategical purposes as well. I might just be saying that because I've seen so much Strong and Ranger matchups today on CK. It's been unbelievable, but it's actually nice to see a BJ for once, even though the BJ's been so meta on Corrupted Keep for the last God knows how long. But there you have it, though. Zen with Strongsage, that's going to be your first map win for Zen, 6-3. And yeah, it's an interesting point you make, because even with the dual wield, I do feel like Strongsage will be pretty good in this matchup, considering how strong his aim skill is going into this matchup. But the Strog isn't exactly an easy feat in itself either. Having to deal with that PK, of course, without the rail and Corrupted Keep is going to be quite tough, but we'll see how things go. And Zen likes to control the tempo and control it at his pace. If Strongsage like tilts in any way, shape or form and gets a little bit too aggressive, Zen's gonna capitalize on that straight away. He likes to, you know, change the pace and use the heavy machine gun long range. He likes to change things up a little bit in terms of how he prep for these items. So it's quite collective in terms of the information he analyzes across the map, but and of course, we do have Molten Falls later on as well. So it's going to be pretty tough, because I do feel like the Ranger has been extremely solid against the Strog and Pika, but I'll be interested to see how the BJ is going to work this time around instead.
Yeah, I mean, I say this, and I'll say it again, but it's like, I think a lot of times BJ just looks great on paper, like,
yeah,
double LG, like who doesn't want it, right? And then it's like, okay, there's some give and take here. I also think that, right, Corrupted Keep can be kind of like building a house of cards while you're really angry, right? It's something that takes some patience and a steady hand to do, but like the more mad you get, you're just like they're trying to do it faster, and we see players kind of tilt, we see players go too aggressive there, and then that lead just gets, you know, out of the way. On the flip side, we've seen some players just completely flip a map like Corrupted Keep on its head, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why it continues to be, you know, one of my favorite maps to watch. It also, frankly, it can be kind of boring, right? Because that snowball can happen sometimes, and then, you know, there's just nothing that can be done about that. So staying out of that, building that house of cards as like cool, calm, and collective as you possibly can. Now, is that going to happen for either of these players? I don't know. I think we might see some sparks fly, but we'll have to see.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the most informative pack of cards analogy I've ever heard. You can see that you've probably casted that as well in the past. But going into now those second map, Zen, Strongsage, you see what's going to happen. Zen had an incredible first map, dealing with the clutch, but let's see what's going to happen this time round. Zen with the early Mega.
Yep, early Mega, and now trying to hold on to Lightroom, getting himself a rocket launcher. And that heavy's still up, but it's going to be grabbed, so a nice little gap between those two could come into play. Zen being very patient here, as he's got a great idea where his opponent is. In fact, reads the drop down below, setting up for that Mega. And getting hit with that Tri-Bolt there is going to allow him to probably grit that Mega. Going in from the back, takes 45 points of damage. Never good, but it's probably in a good position to take this out.
Yes, he's been that way as Zen knows he's in a world of trouble. Just, of course, the Tri-Bot room, one of the best places on this map in order to dilly-dally around with that cat and mouse chase. But it seems like Zen's still being able to stay alive this long, which is quite surprising considering the stack of Strongsage finally finds him after the minute of play. He's got the duel out preemptively to see if he could catch him in that red room, but of course, as you saw there, great stuff from Zen. He delayed the respawn so he doesn't spawn red room, and because Strongsage was in the spawn radius of the red room, he was going to spawn on the rocket side instead. So that was a good initiative there from Zen.
I think it was well played. Yeah, it was smart. I mean, some might interpret that as like, oh man, he's so mad he's not responding. Yeah. But in reality, you got to be really careful about that on keep. And there's frag number 2 as the rocket looks like it's going in for a direct hit, but he goes down, and Strongsage now sitting 2 frags up. Now remember, we talked about that house of cards lead line. No, you haven't forgotten yet. But I guess the opposite can happen, right, on either side. And so ZenAku is not a player that we've seen overly like get super aggro or go super tilt, but it can happen to anyone. He's just gonna have to play smart, find his opportunities to go in an opening, land a nice punch, and then try to go in for that killing blow.
Yeah, still 2-0 now, but Zen has the stack advantage, looking to deal a bit of damage whilst he's retreating back towards the Mega. And the good thing is the items are still segregated quite well, so he can contest both. Good rocket coming out from Strongsage. He knows he's not really in a position to go for the heavy as of yet. He was hoping to do a little bit more initial damage so that he can contest the heavy a little bit more efficiently, but and it's not going to be the case. But see what he can do with this heavy machine gun. Some good rocket damage coming out from Zen there. Not the direction you expect compared to what Garpy and Saigib would have been doing in the past, but still 3 minutes in, and Strongsage is just performing really well against a stacked Zen, just doing everything he can, just do a sprinkle and a tickle of damage here and there, which does add up over time. But the Pika, looking to try and feed himself that information, doesn't get the heavy. May have put himself in a bad position, but still being very efficient with the damage output here. Strongsage has to back away once again.
Yeah, some great reads by both of these players. I'm really liking the dance that we're seeing here, and ZenAku's still looking for that opportunity. It's come close a couple of times, but it seems like Strongsage kind of has an idea on what he needs to do to keep that life intact. And here we're going to have the dual wheel popped, but unfortunately, a little bit preemptive as he finally does catch his opponent, but it is well over now. Nice rocket, but ZenAku's still with the better stack. He's got a chance to bring this back. Strongsage got to be careful here, and he pops his opponent, goes back in for another shot, and that's when ZenAku strikes. He's on the board now with 1.
Lovely, he does pick up the Mega. Refuels on that LG. It's out of range with the LG as well, but it doesn't matter. He gets to guarantee his heavy pickup, still has to peek it whenever he wants to use that. So a great stack here from Zen. But Strongsage, he's had extremely good defensive posture and the routes he takes to avoid his opponent. But the problem is the peek is just doing so much damage. The 90, then the 74. Not bad use of an ability there as Mega's up in a couple of seconds. And I kind of feel like it's just a matter of time until Zen ties this up.
Those are some sick peeker jukes right there. Strongsage was going for that mid-air peeker shot, but it was like not going to happen. So here we go. Heavy's up. Zen's on top of it. Grabs it, no problem. Let's see if he's going to snag up those hourglasses. As he heads on out, catches Strongsage immediately, but loses his position there. Unfortunately for Strongsage, that kind of throws him off just a bit. Peeker coming back out. And still got to make up that 1 frag. Oh, the double barrel to the face. Strongsage, no armor stack at all. And he seems in the last couple minutes to be struggling in that spot. Zen with just a little bit better control overall. He still trails by 1, but there's a second heavy in a row. And I think he's set up here to look for this tie-up frag. Strongsage being very careful because he knows that there's a hunter out there. His name's ZenAku.
Oh, and as he's going for that Mega as well, it's up in the next couple of seconds. Some good rockets will keep him at bay, but this is incredible. Zen was looking like he will tie this up within the next 20 seconds or something. But now the fact that Strongsage's defense has been so good overall against Zen, and Zen's having a little bit of trouble securing these frags. We know in the past we've talked about Zen and how his offensive balance, pursuing certain frags was a little bit off key, but it's nothing to do with that at all. He's pretty much fixed the majority of those mistakes. It's basically Strongsage's defense just been impeccable with his rockets and the LG and the heavy machine gun to boot. It's been marvelous so far, but 10 seconds until this next heavy does appear, and even though Zen's in a better position, Strongsage is the one with a better stack.
Oh, nice rocket coming around the corner. Another big one. ZenAku hurting badly. And there's going to be the nail to put the final one in the coffin. It's going to be 1-3 now for Strongsage. And yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I thought we might actually see a much higher frag count here. And now in that red room, we're going to have Peeker coming out. Peeker has been doing actually so much damage this game, but couldn't get that one done right there. Now Strongsage, 2 frag lead, but on the back foot here, just half of a stack on both sides. Takes a little bit more LG damage. Those rockets kind of a saving grace, but as he jumps across, will it be bad move? Both dual LG comes out, and he somehow manages to stay alive, Lethal.
This is ridiculous. He's still gunning for him as well. That was so dicey. Zen's probably realised, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. What? And the direct comes out, finally gets that frag. 4-1 now, and Zen is going to have to start putting his skates on a little bit quicker. He's going to have to try and at least make something happen here. But Strongsage knows the best thing to do to counter the over-aggression, which Zen is going to, I'm sure, pursue shortly, is just to keep back and have those defensive rockets and the heavy machine gun.
Yeah, I mean, obviously machine gun, we've been seeing that a lot in the meta over the years here on Keep, but you know, rockets are just, you know, relying on your rockets at that long range, like it's definitely a skill, but against a player like ZenAku, I'm really impressed with what we've seen so far. ZenAku's had control. He had control for several minutes until it was finally pulled back. He's got a great stack right now, and he just needs to find an opening and an opportunity. He just grabbed that heavy. Strongsage waiting for him. He pops his dual wield there. And I think Strongsage kind of like slowing himself down. I feel like he's just putting himself in positions that will allow him to hit those shots that you were talking about earlier, just like those 2 double 77s it looked like. Not quite, but the frag, unfortunately, off the map now 2-5. Wow.
Yeah, this has just been unreal, isn't it? It's amazing how on a map like this, it's so easy to assume that one of them's going to have such a huge stack that it's just a matter of time before they secure some of these frags, even with the mobility here. But we're not seeing any of that at all. Some of these defensive rockets just really changing things and putting things out of place here. That was just such a chaotic frag as Strongsage does come out on top, may have sealed his first map win here, but let's see what Zen can do. If he does want to bring this back and close this 4 frag gap, majority of these kills needs to... Oh, that's just not going to happen, especially with that last direct. But it does almost get, but another direct comes out from Strongsage, and that does mean that he won't be able to get the trade, but it's going to help him out just a little bit here. Got a minute left.
Everyone, right now, look under your seat. Strongsage has left 100 damage direct rocket for each of you. It's under your seat. It may or may not be wrapped. Just go ahead and grab that. Thank you. It's unreal how well Strongsage played this map, I think. You know, ZenAku, it looked like did everything right, but Strongsage, you know, Rocket MVP 1000%. I thought I was going to be saying Peeker MVP after all that damage and those direct hits that ZenAku was doing. However, it is definitely whatever Strongsage names his rocket launcher. That's pretty nutty. About 15 seconds left, but this one is 100% going to Strongsage. Might even see number 8. It's coming around the side, and yes, we do. The electrocution going up the jump pad, and that is a super impressive victory. Oh, of course, you had to throw suicide out there at the end. What was that? That 4-7, 3-7?
3-7.
3-7. Yeah. Wild. I can't believe we're going into game 3, tied 1 game apiece. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is unreal. I think this is something we was all hoping for as well. Like, none of us 2-0 shambles, and we'll see what happens in a map 3 to see if it can claw one back. The fact we're going into it like this is just incredible. And both players did have extremely good defensive postures all round. We know at the very beginning, Zen was hiding around that tri-buck when we know it's one of the most common but stable places to try and not relax and chill on, but of course being able to analyze the situation and decide how to go about some of these items until you wait for those lights to come up and then of course go back to that default stack. But yeah, Strongsage played extremely well, good directs overall, good defensive rockets, good reads. Even, yeah, as you were saying before, one of the peakers shots was literally did it, what, 164 damage in total from the shots fired previously. It was just absolutely unreal. As you can see, the stats there, quite low in terms of percentage, but there was a lot of baiting and assuming with a lot of these defensive players, so it's understandable why the percentages were like that. But yeah, and not a huge amount of damage across the board either, just a lot of calculated plays from what we saw there, and Strongsage was able to recover from map number 1, stabilizing map number 2, and just trying to be a real nuisance and frustration. But yeah, going into map number 3, gonna be a doozy here week going into this.
Yeah, I mean, Molten Falls Rangers versus Visor. I just going back to that second game real quick. Like, I don't even know that Dual Wield did right, like, all that much, right? I would not say like, oh well, Strongsage won that because of his great, dual wield opportunities. It didn't really happen there. So it makes me kind of excited for this one, right? Not only do we have a game decider, we got ZenAku sitting at the number 6 spot, 4 wins, 2 losses. Meanwhile, Strongsage, who has taken down, right, some of the gods of Quake in at least a map, and you might say like, well, that's not a series, and you're right, it's not, right? But this would be a pretty incredible win for Strongsage to kind of put that flag into this planet that we call Quake and say, hey, take me seriously. And I do get the impression that chat is really enjoying the presence of Strongsage in the QPL, right? Mixing it up. It's a new storyline, really surprising what we're seeing, but we're also just getting some great play, and it's nice to see even some of our veterans like put to the test. We've said so many week after week after week here this season that it's awesome to think about that we're in this situation where I think there's so many players that have the potential of doing incredible damage at the finals. This is really another example of that.
Yeah, it's balmy, isn't it? The fact we've got players like Sirius and also of likes of Strongsage now performing so well, but obviously this is just in the QPL. Like, we've seen people in challenges, it's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal now. We've already seen like Garpy, CNZ Bucks to qualify. There's still plenty of other names like Yup and RMV and a few other names, Celts as well. Like, just a few names to add to the list. There's just been absolutely grinding to no end, and it's really difficult. Like, I feel like for anyone who's not going to go into day 2 group straight away from the top 8 seed, whoever's going to be knocked to 16th in the QPL, it's going to be a pretty much a handful here week going into the day 1 of groups. Of course, we're looking quite in terms of long term, but yeah, people are just trying to keep away from the bottom 8 as much as possible, and Strongsage definitely has a strong chance to maybe make it into that top 8 seeding here. Of course, Zen also with a good chance as well, and this is going to help secure it if possible. But let's see what's going to happen here in this third map of the series. Currently 1 apiece between the two, as we're going to start off from Strongsage's perspective.
Yeah, get ready for that finals, because we will see upsets. There's just no doubt about it. It's just a question of who will rise and who will fall. So ZenAku now, Strongsage now looking through his eyes. There's another one of those great rockets, just predicting his opponent coming right out of that doorway. And the amount of damage that has been done into the vision just so he could get an HD look at those gibs flying everywhere. Frag number 1 going to Strongsage. Not sure why that was there, but if it was style points, you get a few from me.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with getting a rocket in 4K, of course, in that first rail. Almost managed to hit by Strongsage, but Heavy's up in 5. Doesn't hit the rocket. But he's not going to preemptively go for that frag either. Strongsage trying to rain down some rockets. Hasn't really got much damage as of yet. That's going to be a decent one from the last 69. Which is pretty nice in itself, and using the rail to boot straight afterwards. Very dicey as Strongsage. Very important for him to try and at least get some damage dealt there. Not getting that Heavy unscathed. Again, continuing with this rail damage. Zen needs to be extremely cautious now. And Strongsage just riding the momentum. Now using that piercing sight. Finds him on that rail jump pad. and backs away again. But for so far for Strongsage, looking extremely good from the get-go.
Yeah, and I mean, what I'm going to be looking for, because Strongsage is just showing that he's going to continue to play a lot. Wow, the orb direct. And that is going to be a tie game here. And I was saying, I mean, Strongsage is keeping up with the pace and the flow of what he's done here in the last 2 games. He hasn't really changed much of that at all. ZenAku, I think, right, the uphill climb a little bit, especially after losing that first frag. That was a nice way to bring it back. So now I'm excited to see what Zen's going to do, because I think he's thinking, I need to turn up the heat just a little bit to kind of match the pace of my opponent here, as he's doing the exact same thing his opponent did to him, as he fought there for that heavy. A couple of nice direct hits. Strongsage so low, but he lands the rails. Zen now down to a sliver of health. Does recover a little bit. Are we going to have a fight here at the Mega that is unexpected? They're right above and below one another. Zen's got an orb ready, but the LG on the way down into the orb just to make it nasty. Throwing it back 2-1. Unbelievable.
Christ, yeah, that was a quick but efficient orb there. Zen now got such a great stack, looking very healthy. Not in position, but end of the day, it's the Mega which is going to be coming up first, not the heavy. Decides, depends on exactly what he wants to go for first. It looks like he's going to thinking twice about some of the decisions he wants to make. He was considering going for the Mega, but was thinking about going for the high ground, then decided to contest the Mega instead, which is perfectly fine. He's able to contest that perfectly with that rail to make the Mega pretty much invalid at this point, and also get the heavy. So you could see from Zen's mindset there, he was trying to be proactive. He wanted to do like 6 things at once with like 5 pairs of hands, but didn't know how to go about it. But he couldn't be any more efficient if he tried just then. So he had so many ideas, but you know, the right idea came to fruition then.
And now, you know, tables flipped a little bit. Strongsage has got to climb his way up this mountain, and Zen's got really nice stack. You know, Strongsage sitting there. It's these rails that I think are making a big difference for him. And now we're going to have up-down battle here over the heavy once again. Zen's like, I can hit those rails too. Into electrocution for frag number 3, as we have 6 minutes remaining here in this matchup. ZenAku, less stack, probably not going to be able to chase down another frag, but knows exactly where he's at in terms of timings, and is right on top of that Mega. Going to head on over to the heavy as well, even if he forces a fight in a good position. His opponent knows where he is. There's some rockets for Zen. The orb comes out. I thought that he was going to take the worst end of that damage, but he didn't. He did an enormous amount. Stays alive and in good position.
Yeah, he's potentially going for that heavy as well, but the rail comes out again, but Strongsage goes off the map. He's been a little bit unfortunate, we know, with the first frag from Zen, but Strongsage made a little bit of a slip up. That time around, he's been put off the map. It's in dire straits, but the main thing is, for Strongsage, he does have that piercing sight, so to try and claw his way back, it's only 3 frags, but the problem is Zen does have a huge stack, so a lot of chip damage needs to be required. At the same time, though, Zen does have the mobility, of course, with the passive of the Ranger, and using that rockets to obviously jump to however he sees fit to get a bit of speed, but also to try and get away if he can. He's going to be waiting for that next Mega, picks it up just past halfway point.
I mean, he's got to bust through this control that Zen's got, right? I mean, it is vision won't grab the heavy for you or the Mega for you, right? It might give you a good idea that your opponent is in full control, which I think he already knows right now, but this is kind of the big monster in front of Strongsage right now, is the fact that, you know, ZenAku's found a rhythm. We've got plenty of time in between these two. Into orb. Oh no, like the worst thing that could happen. The 1 on the board goes down to a 0. Now ZenAku, he smells blood a little bit. He knows it's in the water, and he is going in for that chase. Strongsage with a smart retreat out. But once again, it just puts ZenAku back in position to be all over these major items, and that is just a big problem for Strongsage right now.
Yeah, it really is indeed. 3 minutes 50 left, and you know, time's ticking. Ability's not on Strongsage's side. All comes out 5-0. Could be, you'd be calling it early, but could be the final nail in the coffin. Here's Zen. We've had very little reason why to leave his screen at this stage, and we've just looked at the item control as well. 20 items for Zen, only 6 for Strongsage. And Zen, funny enough, has not really been using the rail that much at all. He's only fired 8 shots for the entirety of his matchup. And he's not really had much reason to either, just heavily been relying on the rockets in the LG, mainly the LG, of course, but now preemptively using the LG to try and stop him from picking up this Mega, which he managed to pick up in the meantime, but Strongsage needs to change what he's doing drastically here. It's just a matter of timing before Zen secures his 2-1 victory.
Lack of rail from ZenAku is just him training for corrupted keep on
Yeah.
It's just like, I was not happy with how the last game went, so I'm just going to, you know, act like I'm in that environment. 6-0 now, as ZenAku's really just at this point taken super control here. He's got a firm grip. Ouch, as he just continues to land his opponent. And, you know, early on it seemed like Strongsage had a good idea on where ZenAku was, moving around the map in accordance to that vision or not. But now ZenAku with just so much control, he is running the board at this point. There's not a whole lot that we've seen Strongsage be able to do. We noted that, right, the full control of ZenAku was just going to make this real bad. He was going to have to be hitting, you know, a 70-80% rail. There was a nice one coming out of that teleporter, but even if he was to turn this around, I don't see him grabbing 6 additional frags in 2 minutes. So well played series for sure. I'm really impressed, and I think others will continue to be so. I don't know if you call this a one-game curse, because the people that he's winning these games against are still super solid Quake players, and it is impressive to see.
Yeah, he's been taking a map off pretty much every player almost. It's just a consistency to close these series out, right? It's definitely been something which we've witnessed since the beginning. Like, we know he's only played a few matches already, like taking a map of Avik, taking a map of Kilson, you know, taking a map now of Zen, beating Dramas 2-1 as well. So it does all add up, and we've still got months and months until we will see the 100%, the true form of how Strongsage is going to perform. Of course, he's still got a lot in process. He's still young. The rail comes out there, so adds a little bit of style points as we've still got a minute left remaining.
Very nice. Get that 1 back on the board, Strongsage. I like it. Don't end with that 0. But yeah, I mean, Lethal. Like, there's players that wish that they could get over that hump of beating, right, some of these players even in a single map. And you have to imagine that, like, that mountain in front of you is already pretty damn tough to climb. But I just have to imagine that when you get into the headspace of, you know, I can beat a player like Kilson, a player like ZenAku in a map, so why couldn't I do it twice, right? That seems like a mental mountain that is, you know, hard to climb, and Strongsage enters this season and kind of has done it. So, right, I'm also curious to see over the course of the next few months, and as players really start to prep for the finals, what that will mean. Could also be a big motivator for other players to be like, listen, I have to put that same effort and amount of work in. There it is. ZenAku will take it 2-1, but a phenomenal game and great performance from both players.
Yeah, incredible performance nonetheless. A little bit anticlimactic towards the second half, but by then we could tell the reasons why. Obviously, Strongsage sadly the slight slip up in that first frag, and I think with the full frag for Zen as well, when he managed to take him off the map and not take too much unreturned damage, I think that was another crucial factor there.
Let's bring Ketchup back and see what he thought as was involved in the discussion earlier. Ketchup, welcome back.
Hello, thank you very much. It's one of those matchups that has sort of continued that storyline of Strongsage, where obviously I don't want to talk too much about Strongsage here because I know that it was ZenAku that took the win overall, but it's just one of those forever ongoing storylines of someone who's in the scene here and able to show that they can take maps off players of a caliber that have been around for many years, sometimes even longer than Quake champions, you know. So that's a great starting point, and as we've said throughout the course of the show, Strongsage has not really played a huge amount of actual matches in Pro League yet, so there's plenty more opportunity to see what that progression is going to be like. But I mean, ZenAku, this is a player that just continues to impress, and I know Corrupted Keep didn't go in his favor, but when you look at a map like this and just how much of an iron grip, I suppose, ZenAku was able to have on the vast majority of the map, this is a player that's going places, man. I can't wait to see how far he can climb. Where is the limit? Like, is there a limit? Is this the year of ZenAku where we could end up seeing some absolutely out of this world results? I mean, in terms of shape, he's right up there. And we just got another wonderful example of that today.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the sort of climb of ZenAku over the last few seasons, and it's been really impressive to see. He has improved so much as a player, both in and out of the game. Also, joining the ranks of Maestro, which is very prestigious in this era of Quake right now. So at this point in time, victory is victory, right? A 2-1 win is a 2-1 win, and I think expecting perfection out of yourself at this point in the league, probably unrealistic expectations, because things can go wrong. A rocket can hit you in the face when you didn't expect it, right? But how you overcome those things is just as important, and ZenAku continues to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's been tough, but I'd like to see how Strongsage does in the regular season, towards the later stages as well, because I think there's a couple of positions in the top 8 which is still to play for, and I was just having a quick look at the standings here, and it is still very close, like considering what we've seen so far. So the opportunity's there for him. You've got to remember, Strongsage has been playing he's only had 4 matches, but he's had some really tough opponents. It's not like something where he has to play against the lower end. They literally chucked him straight into fishes, straight into the deep end is where all the piranhas are at. And yeah, poor guy, he's had to deal with quite a tough battle from the very beginning. So one day he might actually get a easier matchup here. We'll have to see. But yeah, Zen doing the usual great job with his consistency there anyway.
There's just so much potential still left to uncover. And it's so hard not to constantly make this comparison and see the direct journey that ZenAku has gone through. It's been quite a few years now at this point, and if you want the clearest example of like what progress looks like as a competitive player, ZenAku is 100% just that prime example. If there's anyone out there that is always looking to improve and wants to think, right, well, how can I take this to the next level? How can I become a bit more successful? How can I become a little bit more consistent? ZenAku's been right through that, man, and he's just continuing to go, and I'm just like, where's the end point? Is there one? Is there going to be a point where ZenAku is the champion this year because of just how much growth he's been able to experience? And hopefully a chance that we can actually ask him about, because I do believe we're trying to get an interview together as we speak. But it's kind of marked that halfway point, I suppose, of this Pro League. And we've seen ZenAku a ton. And we've seen some rather impressive series. And there's surely more to come. But who's it going to be? Who's left to take out potentially as we ramp up here into the finals? But I believe I've just been told we do, in fact, have ZenAku on the line for a post-game interview.
What's up? Congrats.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So, yes, very much so. As we sort of start this, and we've seen you so much throughout the course of this season, and even today, where you're able to get a 2-1 victory, it has been made abundantly clear over the course of the season, like what your outlook on everything has been and what your journey has been, I suppose, and we've talked about it so much that it's hard to think of other stuff because it's just so apparent all the time. But I've got one for you. You just now went off against new blood in Quake Champions. Quake is a game that is rich in legacy, and I remember even when Quake Champions was new, seeing the forever ongoing discussion of, oh no, no new player ever going to make it into this game and do well. It just won't happen. The game's been around for too long. It's got too much legacy behind it. That has obviously changed considerably with Strongsage, who is that example of someone who played Quake Champions when, I like this game, and started playing it more, and now here they are in Pro League. As a competitor, though, you have played against a absolute vast amount of opponents, whether it's in Pro League or whether it's in, community tournaments or whatever. Was there anything stand out to you fighting someone who is newer to competitive Quake Champions than most? Did anything really stick out for you?
I think because I'm trying to think of like what differentiates Strongsage from the other people who do compete and kind of like going through the ranks. But I think what I personally love about Strongsage is that he kind of reminds me a little bit of myself, because he obviously grinds a lot. He's putting his heart into it. He's fully committed to this. I think like what I like playing against people like that is, we're both going for it completely. I've faced a lot of people who play, and sometimes, something that I've noticed is like how much just the mental side will get kind of the better of people. I mean, it's got the better of me in the past. I know it's like, people that I've played against, and before you even played him, have already kind of given up. But what I really like about Strongsage is that he genuinely is trying the whole time. In fact, actually, sometimes I like reluctantly want to play with him, because I feel like I know he's just going to come for me like 200% every time, which is actually really good. But I think, yeah, if that answers your question, the differentiating factor is that he just puts his heart into it, and he's genuinely trying to improve all the time. And yeah, it reminds me of myself. So in some way, I just really, I just like to see him do well at some stage as well.
Yeah, of course. And congratulations again for your victory today as well.
Thank you.
So basically what you're trying to say is basically the NA version of you, any Zen. So to speak, but mine's just a quick question anyway, just going into that second map. On CK, I'm cut to keep. How do you feel like you could have changed things a little bit differently? You did really well a lot of the majority of the time when you had the major items and you had the stack advantage. I liked how very early on you would try and grab kind of the tri-bolt areas straight away, instantly, rather than messing around too much, just so you could play cat and mouse with your opponent. I can notice that you struggled quite a bit just trying to find an in, really, against Strongsage, even with the majority of control. What do you feel like you could have done differently? Because Strongsage had an extremely good defensive posture for across the board, and I did feel like that a lot of the times he was making some good reads, but at the same time, you was being aggressive and making the right moves, but it was just a struggle for you to seal some of those frags.
Yeah. I think... I mean, in this setup, we played two EU servers, one NA, so that was the NA server. And generally, like when someone's playing that defensive and they're being so tight with the rockets, it's very hard to kind of break them, because as soon as you try to attack it, the rocket sends you flying. And to be honest, I'm not too sure. Maybe it was more of a case of like I needed to kind of chip them away. But this is what I love about Quake, because you can play hundreds of practice games, and then suddenly, if you play a moment where he's being ultra defensive and he doesn't show himself, how do you break that? So, maybe like more long distance rockets or trying to catch him out. But with the pacing of how the game went and how he used the ability, like there were some moments where, BJ on CK, if he pops ability and he's at the mega, you just give him the mega. There was a couple of moments where he actually made good decisions, which I couldn't just continue to control, and he understood that about the game. But I think ultimately it's like, trying to get some kind of tribal, some kind of long distance rocket. But yeah, he was just playing really great defensively. So,
okay, cool.
Zen, congratulations again. Game 1 close, game 2 close. I'm going to keep it really simple. I'd like for you to fill in the blank on this sentence, and just add whatever you want to. But like, game 3 looked pretty solid for you from our perspective and from chat. So like, I won game 3 because blank. What was it for you?
I would say probably just focus, or also Jesus. Sorry, I have to check it in. Okay, there's probably much. And how can I say? No, I think I just kept focused. I kept like continual the whole way through. And yeah, sorry, I went overboard. It's focus. That's what I would say.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time again. It's always a pleasure to have you up here. And hey, it means we have you here because you're doing well and you're winning series. So that's only ever a good thing.
Yep.
So thank you very much, mate.
Congrats, man.
Awesome,
we'll speak to you soon.
Good job, mate.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
And then there was only one. Feels like it's actually been quite a fast day today. I think it's just on the back of having some absolutely wild matches. And there is one more wild match left to go. We're going to go and prepare now for our final featured matchup of the day. You do not want to miss this. 5 minutes time, give or take. We'll be back.